Hi guys, I'm Uncle Richie.
Yo, what up? J Money's back.
And this is C10. And you're listening to the Uncle's Podcast.
And we're back. Welcome to episode 53. I've got a very special guest this week. This week we're going to be talking to Gemma Schnaubelt. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
But she's definitely a special person that has done some special things in 3 different codes, I must say. So Rugby Touch, representative of Papua New Guinea, Rugby League, and also Rugby Union. And I'm very keen to chat to her about her experiences in all 3 codes, but also where it all began for her and how things are going at the moment. So, Gemma, before we get started, I just thought, I just wanted to ask you how you're going.
Okay, thank you. It's been a long day, but obviously tomorrow's Anzac Day, so we get to sleep in tomorrow. So I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be on this as well. I've been following you guys for a while, so yeah, it's nice to be, I guess, today or tonight's 50. I think, is it 53? You said
53.
Yeah, it's
a
lot of episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's cool to be here. I'm really blessed. So yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. We've definitely been watching from afar because we've had a few talented sports people on previously with Amelia Cook and also Chad and a few of those people from the footy circles as well.
Yeah.
So really happy to finally have you on. But let's start off with, I guess, where you were born, where you were raised, and then we can sort of grow from there.
Yeah, so I was actually born back home in PNG, which a lot of people don't know that because they assume that I was actually born in Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was born back home, and both my parents are of PNG heritage. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Dad's from New Island. Such a beautiful place. Yeah, I've only been there, I think once, so I need to go back really soon. But yeah, Dad's from there, and then Mum's from Central. Her dad, is from Hula, and her mum's from Gyra. So
wow,
just 2 villages, not too far from Port Moresby.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really But we moved over here when I was about 5 or 6. So I pretty much grew up in Australia.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were very lucky to always go home. Mum and Dad made sure that we were always going back home to see family because we don't have many family here.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm really that's pretty much where my parents and I'm from as well. So obviously
Yeah. Would you say you're closer to your Aroma side than your New Island side, or is it a bit of both?
Yeah, I feel like I grew up with so when I was born back home, it's pretty funny. Like I spent maybe the first 3 or 4 years with my grandparents.
Yeah. Okay.
And Mum's dad was a bishop, so he was always doing church work, and he was always on the highway, going to all the villages. So I pretty much grew up in Hula.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty funny that I was a bit of a highway kid, so up and down with my grandparents a lot. But yeah, I grew up on my mum's side quite a lot actually. So yeah, I'm really close to my mum's family rather than probably my dad's family.
Yeah.
But as the older I got, I got to meet some of my cousins. I don't have many cousins actually on my dad's side, which is quite funny. Okay. A lot of his siblings don't have kids yet.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I maybe only have about 3. But on my mum's side, I have like 50 cousins, like 100 if I'm counting really. So, no, we've got a really big family on mum's side. So yeah.
Yeah, that's like so I'm from Berena. In Karaku, so the opposite highway to the Muggy, the Hiria Tunnel.
Yeah, my partner's from there.
Oh, really?
He's half Karaku, half Hula as well. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Good,
the highway.
2 good places to be from. Yeah, it's funny you say that because like every time I have lots of cousins as well, and whenever I go to the village, it's like another cousin had
No,
always.
it's pretty funny, or someone's always related to you, which is kind of cool,
And they're always, there's always a new cousin that comes out and it's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. So funny, funny.
That's funny, yeah.
But when you said you moved down here when you were 5 years old. Like you probably wouldn't remember much, but growing up through those early years, all the way up to 5 up to 10, were there any challenges that you faced or your family faced when trying to fit into um, Aussie life here, society here? Because we talk about it a lot on the
Yeah.
Uncles. There are certain things that us Papua New Guineans do culturally that are different to Aussies, and
Yeah.
Aussies have their own things that we might look at that and go like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I think when I was growing up, from what I do remember, I think one of the first things is when we moved over, I actually didn't speak English. So I knew maybe like 4 languages. So I had to be taught English, which was one of the funny things that I do
Wow.
remember. But that didn't take long. I think it took maybe less than 6 months for me to actually learn English, and then I totally forgot all the other languages that I knew. But yeah, I think like for my family as well, I think it was mostly my mum. Like as a kid growing up, I didn't have many cultural issues, or like we adapted pretty easy to
That's
how
cool.
life was
Yeah.
here. So when we first moved down, we moved to the sunny coast in a little town called Nambour, with my dad's mum. So she was living out there, and it kind of felt like we were like in the countryside a little bit.
Yeah.
There was not much there. It's a really, really, like for anyone that knows Nambour, it's a really small town. So yeah, not much there. It wasn't until we did move to Brisbane, and I started schooling and all that sort of stuff, where I guess trying to just fit into like school life here, because I never went to school in PNG. So I started my school, like my primary school here, which was really cool. So that's probably why I didn't have many issues, because I just kind of thrown in the deep end, and started from year 1 and then right to year 12 obviously. But most of it was just my mum obviously, and our family. Like we didn't have much family here. And for my mum, she comes from a really big family line, and she comes from like 6. There's 6 of them. Like she has 6 siblings. So
wow.
yeah. So when Dad was working, it was just always me and my sister and my mum. A lot obviously. So when you move away from family, and we were just kind of isolated ourselves, it was a little bit tough on our family. But we didn't. I think most of it was just like our eating. I think food wise, like we had to adapt to all the foods here.
Yeah.
Like takeaways and stuff.
Yeah.
Like back home, when we're in the village, we're eating garden food.
Food.
I think one of the biggest things here was like, oh, you can like just go get Macca's or KFC, which is not an issue. But we tend to miss home cooked food. But otherwise, we from what I remember, not too many, I guess, obstacles or anything. It was just that transition of the first couple of years moving here, and my parents getting used to work here, and us going to school and things like that. So yeah, it was pretty cool, and really blessed that we have opportunities here that my parents and that gave us here. So that was not that I remember that I had many issues.
That's awesome. And did your parents, like, were they also trying to, because you said they didn't have much family here. I know I spoke to Victoria Carmen in the not last episode, but a couple episodes ago, and she mentioned how because they moved over to South Australia, and there was like hardly any PNG people there, only like 1 or 2 across the place, but they sort of made an effort to find the PNG people and make connections just so they could feel like they were at home. Was that something your parents did while they were here?
I know Dad had a lot of family here. So like obviously like Dad's family, we would see them. They lived in the south side, we were in the north side. So we would see them regularly and stuff. But like when we were growing up in the north side, I did have a couple of PNG mates in primary school.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously I went to school like with Polynesian kids. There was maybe 1 or 2. So it kind of felt like it was home anyway. Like I wasn't the only dark skinned girl at my school, which is it was quite intimidating at first when I did start school, because I was obviously a dark skinned girl compared to everyone who was a little bit lighter than me, so I kind of get all the eyes all the time, things like that. But as I went into like year 5, 6, and 7, there was, I think, maybe 2 other PNG kids in my class, which is really cool. So it was really good.
That's awesome. Hey everyone, Uncle Richie here. If you're enjoying this episode, please like, follow, and subscribe. Now back to the episode. Yeah, so moving on, in going into high school, I know you're definitely quite a sporty person. You've played, touch for PNG, Rugby League, Rugby Union. three codes there and represented your country. But how did you become that sporty person? What were the sports that you played in high school
Yeah.
to start off with?
Yeah, so I grew up in primary school playing soccer and a little bit of netball.
Yep.
And then when I did start when I did start high school, so I went to Wavell, which was they had a netball program and a rugby league program for boys. So yeah, when I actually chose to go to Wavell, just because I heard it was like sport was big at that school.
Yeah.
I was originally meant to go to Kedron because it was not too far from where I was living at the time. But yeah, Mum sent me to Wavell instead, and my cousin also went there, which made me want to go. Liam Horn, who plays for the Kummels as well.
Wow.
So the both of us ended up going to Wavell, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with him through my high school days.
Yeah.
We were really close back then because our mums were really tight as well. They're really close cousins as well. So yeah, so I went to Wavell, and then I did the netball program for maybe maybe the first or second year. And then that's when I found touch. Like it was, I think, one of our inter-school sport.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this out. I think I stopped playing soccer by then. Wasn't really interested in it anymore. Yeah, and then when I started playing touch, and haven't looked back since then. So, yeah, as soon as I got into touch, then obviously rugby came.
Yeah.
But back when I was growing up in school, there was not many pathways to what it is now, obviously.
Yeah.
We probably played like 1 or 2 carnivals during the year. So rugby wasn't really a thing for me until the end of school when one of my mates forced me to go and try for like the Queensland Reds under 18s, like sevens national team.
Wow.
And at that point, I actually had never played sevens or knew Rugby Union. So it was kind of like, oh, my friends are doing it. Okay, cool, I'm going to do it. Like, I should be good at it because I'm like back then I was quite fast and a bit lighter. So, she forced me to go down and trial for that team. And then that's how I actually started playing sevens. So, yeah, it was good fun. So, obviously, I started playing sport in school.
Yeah.
And I think for that reason I was just surrounded by a lot of mates who were playing footy.
Yeah.
So it kind of just made me want to be like, yeah, cool, I'll do it as well since everyone else is doing it. But yeah, that's how I pretty much got into touch and I guess rugby. At the back end of high school, yeah. That's
so funny because I think about my own story. And I played soccer all through primary school in PNG, and then when I moved over to Brisbane, I played 1 year in year 8 of soccer.
Yeah.
And then all my friends were playing rugby.
Yeah,
so I was like,
exactly.
Shit, like, and they were like saying, why are you playing soccer, bro?
Yeah.
Like, come play rugby. And I was like, oh shit, okay, I'll play rugby now.
No, yeah, that was similar to me just because everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
They were like, no, you should do it too. Like my whole friend group was playing footy, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, why not? Which is kind of cool because, now that I look back at it, I'm glad I did because it's gotten me to some really amazing places. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so we move on. And when was the first time, because I know touch footy is definitely has been a big part of your life.
Yeah.
And, I've followed your journey or looked back into your journey, lots of like newspaper articles representing PNG at touch football. And, how did you come across that? Where did your love for touch come into play? Like, was it through your mates, like you said, how you got involved? Or what do you love about touch footy? I
think, firstly, definitely my mates. I think when I was in year 12, just finishing school, 11 and 12, I actually met one of my best friends now. She moved over from New Zealand. Originally, her and her mum brought their sports club from New Zealand to Brisbane, and they were playing netball. So I did play a little bit of netball in school just for club-wise. And then she actually, I didn't realise that she actually played touch as well back in New Zealand. So when she found out that we were playing touch, she was like, oh, let's start a touch team up and run it under my mum's club. So we were playing under Steelers, which was their family club.
Yeah.
And back then, now that I think of it, there used to be maybe every second weekend a touch tournament. Socially, they used to just have touch tournaments in Beenleigh or in the Gold Coast or north of Brisbane. So, and you'd see all these teams, and it was probably $30 per person a rego.
Yeah.
So everyone just did it because, it was always fun to just play and touch tournaments. So yeah, that's how I kind of was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I get to play this sport like every weekend. I get to see my mates like every weekend kind of thing.
But that's also where you got your reps in, I'd say.
Yeah, and like I started to learn the game a little bit more as well. Obviously by playing regularly. And then obviously like during the week I was playing modules up at Chermside or South Pine or things like that, just with mates and stuff. So yeah, it was like a sport that got me out of the house, I'd say. Yeah. And it was like a happy place when I was growing up in school and stuff like that. So yeah, and then it wasn't until 2017, because I graduated in 2015. Yep. It wasn't until 2017 where we heard that there was a nationals in PNG, and they wanted to obviously pick squads for the 2019 World Cup team. So you had to attend the nationals. So we obviously had to go back as a Queensland-based team and go play at the nationals. But yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, when I found out that, hey, this is such a good sport. Yeah. And I guess I'm good at it too. So I was like, I'm going to play this forever. Like, this is awesome. But yeah, and then obviously went on to representing PNG at the World Cup in 2019. Yeah. Which was a big journey to get there. So yeah.
Yeah, how was that? Because like, give us an insight. I mean, everyone always hears about the PNG touch team and how well we do at World Cups and stuff, but like you obviously experienced it firsthand. And how was that for you? How was it? How was the feeling like putting on that PNG jumper and running out and representing your country at a World Cup?
Yeah, it was like I said, like in 2017 we had to go back and trial for the team. Actually, before that, I think it was 2015 was the last one or something like that. Yeah. I actually tried for the Samoa team. Wow. So I have Samoan heritage deep down in my line. Yeah. I did make the World Cup team. I actually made the mix. I think it was the mixed open team through that I made. And it was in Coffs Harbour, so it was like close by. Pretty handy. Unfortunately, like unlike rugby league and sevens, like the eligibility criteria is a little bit more stricter. Yeah. And I had to prove on my birth certificate or something that it's on paper that I think there was a few of us. I think me and I think 4 other players were the same. So I wasn't actually able to take the field due to just the eligibility thing. Yeah. And that's when I thought in 2017, I get to. Maybe I'll have a crack at PNG because I was born there, so it's probably a lot easier for me. Yeah. So yeah, we did like a trial thing. I think there was a few of us that were going. It was like a 14-man team, and then I think a week out, people just started slowly dropping off due to just how much it was going to cost us to get to POM because it was in POM. Yeah. Which is really sad because I think we ended up with maybe like our women's team. I think there was only 8 of us. Geez. And then we had to get some of the girls' mums that were travelling as managers and like our staff to hop on the wing for us at the nationals. But really? Yeah, like that first trip in 2017 was it was just insane. Like I just felt like we had no subs or anything. Yeah. And the field that we played on, like typical PNG field, no grass. Yeah, no grass. But yeah, no, it was a really memorable trip. Which, like, I can't even explain it. We ended up making the final that year as well, and it just felt like we were playing in an Origin game, to be honest. Like, there's kids in the trees. Like, it was just like if you see photos of it, it was amazing. I think I have seen photos. Like, there's like people right on the sideline. It was crazy, and just to hear them like screaming like Brisbane, like while we're playing, like it was just insane. And then obviously from then, like they did the squad. They did. I think it was like an extended squad, which I did make. And then we had to go back again in 2018, back to POM to play the nationals. I think it was just so you could keep your spot kind of thing. Yeah. So we did that as well. And the same thing, we made the finals. Like I was playing in the women's team, we made the finals. Lost again. Like I think that's 2 years in a row now that we had lost. And then 2019 came about. I think we had one or two camps maybe, which was really cool because then we got to go home and I guess train and play with the locals, just to get that bond together. And then,
which is very important.
Then we were off to Malaysia. I think it was in April that we went to Malaysia for the World Cup. But yeah, like in Malaysia, I think the girls team, we did really well. I think the girls, we were sitting 12th before that, and we ended up sitting 6th in the world after the World Cup. So and then obviously our mixed and men's team. Our men's team always do really good. I think they're top 4. So
Yeah.
and then the mixed is the same. They've always been like in that top 4, top 6 kind of spot. So
that's crazy.
considering like the amount of talent we have, we're pretty up there in touch. So
yeah,
it's really good. So that's pretty much how my touch journey started and how I got into the team and things like that. So that World Cup in 2019 was a really fun year. Like I enjoyed it so much, and Malaysia was just beautiful. So it was really nice. Yeah.
Oh, it would have been an amazing experience, and I guess I look back on my time, like when I went back and sort of did camps with the puk-puks and all of that. And I think the biggest thing for me was definitely meeting all the locals there, and you get to understand their stories and some of their hardships, and
100%. And I think that's the coolest thing about like playing for PNG is like there's some stories that I've heard of some of the other athletes, especially the women, and it like sometimes it just brings me to tears at how much they've gone through just to be where they are. And sometimes it could be easier for them, but it's not, kind of thing. But it's one thing to obviously represent your country, but when you hear stories of the locals and stuff, gives you different insight and different feeling of what they've been through as athletes. So it's awesome, And
it always, like, whenever I hear that stuff, it, like, lights a fire in me. Like, I want to play well now.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm next to that person
who's done all this just to be here.
Yeah, who's gone through that, and now we're both on the field together. And it's like,
and you're, like, going to war kind of thing.
It, like, makes it all much more fun.
100%.
Yeah, so that's, I love that feeling. I actually miss that feeling some days, so... No, it's great to hear that you experienced that as well.
Yeah.
But then moving on from that, there were a few years where, say, before COVID, where you went on tour with the Palas, which is the Rugby Union women's team, for those of you who don't know. But you were on tour with them for a couple of years there. Tell us a bit about that.
Those were some of the best years playing sevens, honestly.
Yeah.
So from touch, I actually got scouted from touch into the sevens team. So in 2017, I took out like the MVP. I think it was for the female tournament, the female of the tournament. Sorry, and John Larry was the coach at the time, and he had seen I think our grand final it was, and then he asked a couple of the boys that I knew of, and just said like, hey, who's the number 6? Like, we want to see if she wants to try for the sevens team. We need some contact details and blah blah blah. So. I came home, and then not long after, I think Sydney Sevens was coming up.
Wow.
So he had got in touch with me and said, like, I want you to come home after I had just came back from Brisbane. I mean, from Palma, just went back to Brisbane.
Yeah.
He's like, I want you to come back and trial, and we'll see how you go from there. So I think the only thing was I had to pay my own flight. Obviously, funding for PNG sports is quite difficult for some teams.
Definitely.
Mum was like, okay, let's see how you go. Like, I'll pay for your flight. So, Mum paid my flight, and then I went over to try for the team. That first camp was, I think I had like PTSD, to be honest. I just did not expect the camp to go how, like, in my head, I had a total different image of how it was going to go. It was really intense, though. I think that's probably why I wasn't used to the intensity of how they train back home. Obviously very, very different to how we train in Australia at club level and rep level and things like that. So it was a bit of a shocker for me. I think my first training, I turned up and it was like raining, and like to a point where it was lightning, and I was like, surely they'll call this off. Like the girl was like, no, he's not going to call it off. Like, we're going to train in this weather, so get your boots on. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and then so like we did ball skills, fitness, and like that was all fine. And then we did one block where there was this massive tire, and they made the players like the tire was like bigger than me. Like I just, they made us push this tire down the field and back, like the whole entire 100-meter field. And I think Debbie, she's one of the former players as well. She did boxing as well for PNG. She was one of my first friends in camp, and she's quite strong and quite big as well. So she pushed this tire down the field and back, and I just looked at her. She was my partner, And I was like, do I have to really push this, like, tie it down? She's like, yeah, if you want to make the team. And I was like, yeah, right, okay. And I remember I just shoved the tie out and it didn't move. Like, I was this little 50 kilos back then, didn't do any weights, no gym.
Yeah.
And the tie didn't move. And then the coach was like, just pick it up and run with it. Like, I saw some of the other girls running the tire and I was like, I cannot do this. Like,
Jeez.
oh, it was so insane. But yeah, now that I look back at it, I laugh at it because I'm like, I could probably lift the tire now, but back then I wouldn't have been able to. But yeah, no, yeah, that was my first. I think that was 2017, 2018.
Yep.
Sydney Sevens was the first tournament I debuted in. So
Yeah.
after that first camp, made the team, and then we went to Sydney.
Yeah.
Which was unreal. Like, obviously we, like, PNG Rugby in general, we're still a little bit far back compared to some of these big teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, either way, I still had fun and I still experienced a lot.
Yeah.
And then I think 2018, or might have been 2018, 2019, 2020, was when I was a bit of a regular in the team.
Yeah.
Alongside, obviously, Diko, Kawa, and Yo as well, Yolanda. So the four of us were travelling quite a bit together, and we were going home quite often. I felt like we were going home maybe like twice a month.
A lot,
like a training camp there, come back for 2 weeks, and then go back again for camp, and then we're off to another tournament, and then come back again, and it just was like a cycle, which felt really cool. Like, it felt like we were doing it as a job, obviously, not getting paid as much as, you know, some of the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, looking at it from the outside in, I felt like you guys were building something really good, because you had yourself, you had Malugu, Kawa, and
Yo was, I
and
think,
Yo as well.
Like
that, you just had four very good players, four mainstays who, like, you know, if PNG Rugby had done a better job, they should have really used you four to kind of propel women's rugby into a different space.
I think one of the coolest things is, as well, like, in the squad that we had that first couple years was we also had, like, Tyva Levi, like Fatima Rama, like girls and Alice. Like, we had girls that were killing it for our team, like, especially as backs and everything. But we also had a coach, Paul Titchens, who was obviously from New Zealand, Sir Gordon's son.
That's right.
Which, like, for me personally, I really liked him as a coach. Like, he taught me a lot about the game, and he didn't take away what I had to bring to the team. He kind of was like, I want to utilise you, because you can do this, you can do that. Like, he was always so positive about things, and I think we owe him a lot for the couple years that we had, because he was the one who was, like, doing the camps, making sure that we had that environment where, like, you got to turn up if you want to be in this team, kind of thing. So it felt like it was like a job for us for a couple of years, which was really good. And I think he did a really good thing by building that, like how you said, we were kind of building towards something. Yeah. And then obviously COVID hit, and then don't know what happened after that. But yeah, I honestly believe that we were doing quite well, and I think there was probably more to come if you know, COVID didn't hit, obviously, and then if he wasn't let go and things like that as well. So it's quite sad to see him go. And but otherwise, I think that the couple of years that we did play was some of the best years that I played sevens, especially when you're traveling the world as well. Like, there's some cool places that I went to, like America, Hong Kong, like Singapore.
Huge.
Yeah, like even like the islands. I love going to the islands, so like Fiji, where you play Oceania Sevens. Like, that was always so much fun with the girls. And then obviously Pacific Games, where we went to Samoa in 2019 as well. And then so like there's a couple of places that I went to which sevens took me over. So it was really wouldn't regret anything, to be honest. It was so much fun.
Is there one place you'd say you know, was your favorite spot? Was it the Pacific Games, or was it going to the US or Hong Kong? Or
I think that's a tough one, because they were all so fun, and like I've never been anywhere else but New Zealand. Like, I had been to Samoa a couple times before the Pacific Games, so like that wasn't really new to me, but like I love Samoa. But I think Fiji was my favorite. Like, I just loved I loved Fiji. Like, it was I think just the people. I think the people really made it such an enjoyable one. Everyone's so nice there.
So nice.
Yeah, like just the rugby there is insane to watch. And I think we did a lot of, we did some school things over there as well. Like we visited school. Nice. So to see some of the kids there and things like that, it reminded me a little bit of home. But yeah, I think I really enjoyed like Oceania Sevens when it was in Fiji. It was probably one of the best places I've been to. But otherwise, yeah, it was nice to go to, obviously, like, I think we went to, for the World Cup, we also went to San Francisco. Yeah. I think that was another one I'd say was pretty up there. So me, Yo, Dicko, and Kawa went to that one, the four of us. Yeah. And yeah, that was so much fun. Like, we got a lot of free time as well, so we did a lot of exploring over there.
That's awesome.
You know, you see it on a postcard all the time. So to be finally there was really cool. So yeah, Sevens has taken us to some really cool places. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so much, like so much you've done in a short amount of time.
Period, yeah.
And it's crazy to think that, you know, while all that was going on as well, like, you were also playing a little bit of rugby league in the background.
Yeah.
And then you went on to representing Papua New Guinea with the rugby league women's team.
Yeah,
at the World Cup.
Yeah. Oh, it was actually just a test match.
Oh, test match.
Just test match, which is still kind of cool. Like,
yeah.
So that happened in 2019 as well.
Yeah.
I think I just had come back from... So the Touch World Cup was in April. Mm-hmm. Then we went to Pacific Games where we won a silver. I think that was in August or something. I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, so not too far, like October-ish. Mm-hmm. And then, the test match was in November, I think it was. So the back end of the year, which I can't remember. I think through Queensland Cockmores was how I got into the team. Yeah. So Uncle Tom obviously had contacts and with the selectors, and they were always, you know, we try and feed girls into that team as a pathway to PNG RFL. It's obviously different now, but yeah, back then Uncle Tom did a really cool thing by saying like, hey, we've got a couple girls that you guys can look at.
Shout out to Uncle Tom.
He's amazing. I have so much time for that club and him. He's played a really big role in my rugby league career as well. So, got a phone call, which is really sad because that's the same year that I actually lost my grandparents. So just before the test match, I was actually in PNG at my grandparents' funeral. Both of them had passed away at the same time. And then I think I was in the village and there was no reception there, which is quite funny. Like Digicel, I had to like walk to the beach to get signal. So I think I went to the beach with my little cousins, and I remember seeing a missed call from Bugsy. He was the coach of the PNG Orchids then. And he just rang me and said, hey, Jem, like, I know you're in the village at the moment, but I'd like you to play in the 2 test matches that we have coming up as our fullback. And I don't think I had played fullback yet. I think I was playing wing for the last 2 years at West Brisbane Panthers. At West. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. That sounds awesome. Like, when's camp? When do I have to be in by? And he was just like, you know what, like, spend time with your family first, and then we'll give you a week and a bit, and then come into camp. So I was really grateful that he understood what I was going through at the time. After the funeral, packed all my bags, went into camp not long after. That camp alone for the Orchids was just another highlight itself. Like it was so different to what I had experienced in Sevens and in touch football.
What was the week like leading up to? What did you guys do?
I think a lot of it was, we trained. Obviously, we had like gym and then field sessions. I think the first test match was up in the Highlands.
That's right, I remember that. Yeah.
So first time going up in the Highlands was really fun. It was really cold up there, which I did believe when people said to me, like, it's going to be cold. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I've never been there, but for some reason, I just thought they were joking around. But some of the girls are from the Highlands, so they're like, no, Jen, make sure you bring a jumper. And I was like, okay, cool. When we went up there, that was pretty much our schedule. It was like gym and then field in the afternoon, which was so much fun. Like, again, going into a new team, and we had a lot of girls, like a lot of debutantes in the squad. It was really cool. It was the first time I think I met Elsie as well. which was really cool because I think I had watched her maybe a year before playing for the Orchids. I think it was I can't remember, but I remember just hearing about her and I was like, oh my god, she's in my team. Like this is the coolest thing ever. She's on my team. Like that's just I don't have to play against her or anything like that.
She's like the one who's made it from PNG, right?
Yeah, she's got an amazing story too. So that was when I first met Elsie as well. And such a nice. I think she was one of my first friends in camp as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. And then that week we just prepared really hard and did what we had to do. And then obviously we had game one. I think we did lose game one, but not by a lot. I think it was I think we scored maybe 2 tries and they had scored 4 or 5. So. But the game itself, I wish it was recorded because I think we did really well in that game. We just, defensively, we were just a bit not connecting.
Yeah.
But so we had to obviously reset again. And then
which is understandable, like your first game together.
And I think within that period of when we lost, I remember just logging on Facebook and just seeing, all this stuff about, the women's team, which is, everyone... You get it if you're from PNG and you've represented your country and you do terrible. Everyone just suddenly hates on you.
Yeah.
But I remember reading that and I was like, no, we can't lose again. That just kind of motivated me for the second game, which we had in Port Moresby.
Yeah.
So the girls and I, we had a chat about it because a lot of the girls did go on Facebook and it kind of, you could tell in our camp that it was kind of getting to some of the girls. They're
a bit down.
Yeah. So the camp vibes after that 1 week was not the best, but we had to regroup and we had the coach talk to us and some of the senior girls and obviously what was said made us play even better because then we won that game in Port Moresby at the main stadium. So that was that game was I still don't know how to feel remembering it and feeling what I felt that day. I think all I did was cry, to be honest. But it was it was like no other. I think that was probably one of my biggest highlights playing rugby for PNG. So
because that was a history-making game, right?
Yeah, it was.
The women's team had never beaten another. A team like the English side, who are, they were probably ranked, 1 or 2 in the world.
Yeah, they were quite up there.
3 after New Zealand and Australia. So, I mean, to beat them at home in front of your home crowd.
It was just, and I think that week that we prepared, we actually had the Kumul's coach Michael come in.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of left and right attacking and defensive stuff with us. Then we had also Joe, who was I think one of their assistant coaches as well. So we actually had the men's coach come in and help us out, which was really cool. And then the girls, I think during game time, I don't know what it was. I think that last 10 minutes, if anyone remembers it, I think just defensively we were just, I think every time I looked at the score, I was like, oh, it's so close. We just need one more.
Because it was equal.
Yeah.
And then it literally went down to that last minute.
Yeah.
And Shirley.
She just, I remember the last maybe 10, 15 minutes. Talk
us through it.
Oh, I think, so the first half, I can't remember if we scored first or they scored first. But I remember Carol's try that she put, it was just numbers really. But to see us score. And it just was another kind of energy, and to have the crowd, obviously.
Oh, the crowd erupted that first try.
And my family was there. Some of them came from the village, so I was like, oh, this is one of the best feelings. And so when we scored, I was always like, we can do this, girls. Don't even doubt us right now, things like that.
Yeah.
And then second half came. I think we might have been up by maybe 2 points or 4 points or something. I can't remember quite well. But second half came and Rosie scored off on the line, not long after. I think it was maybe 10, 15 minutes in, she scored off underneath the post.
Yeah.
And I think that's what bringing our score up and up. And I was like, oh my gosh, we could win this. And then obviously they scored a couple tries coming back. And then they had a really good kicker at the time. Her conversions were really good. And then I think the last 10 minutes we were equal. And so from the back, because I was playing fullback.
Yeah.
I remember just Elsie just making all these crazy ass tackles. Like she was just pumping the other team, like their forwards. Like if anyone watches the highlights, like it's like just her just hitting all the forwards, and they kept losing the ball, which was really funny. So I was telling the girls, I was like, we just need to tackle them, and then when we get the ball back, like we just need to like score. Like I don't care how we score, if we have to kick it and we chase it. Like, but yeah, like. I think the last 10 minutes was a really good defensive effort. Even Gloria Cowper was putting on some really good shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember watching the clock wind down. And lucky I could speak Pidgin like to this day, because when I first started playing sevens, I didn't actually know how to speak Pidgin. So like over the years, I've obviously learned. And then the last I think maybe 40 seconds as we were creeping up to our attacking line.
Yeah.
I think I was on the right side. We had stacked the right side, and the left side was a bit like less numbers. And I remember Shirley was like, "I'm gonna come right." Like she was just yelling like, "Bummy come, bummy come." I was like, "No, blind side!" Like the blind side's on. And I just remember when she picked that ball up and ran, I was just like, "No one tackle her, please!" Like, and then like if you watch the video, she ducked under one of the tackles, and, like because I think we had our winger outside her, so it was like 2-on-1, but she didn't pass it, and I was like, "No, like she didn't pass the ball." But then she obviously ducked and scored the try, and that was it. I remember looking at the time, and I was like, "Oh, we've just won the game!" Like, and then you'll see the video, like we're just all
everyone's like
jumping on each
in,
other, the crowd's going wild. Like it was just
man.
a crazy feeling. Like it was one of the best feelings that obviously playing at home as well. Like it was insane. Like nothing comes close to the feeling that I felt that day. So. Yeah, it was really good for the girls, and obviously for the women that have been creating that pathway, like Lala and all those Kathy Neep, all those kind of girls. So like it was finally good to get a win and just be like, we can play footy, and we're not just here to make numbers like every time we play. But yeah, the girls are doing well, even like to this day as well. Obviously, they went to the World Cup, made the semis. Unfortunately, lost to Australia, who are the best in the world. So, they are doing extremely well, especially with all the young girls coming through, which is really, really exciting for them. So, that was pretty much how I got into rugby and some of the highlights.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
And, I know a lot of people that are watching or listening now would have been, we just took them back to that game and like they just experienced it all again. But that was a huge milestone for women's rugby and women in sport. And
definitely.
I feel like a lot of men, especially PNG men, were like sitting on the fence like after that first game. As you said, you would have copped a lot of hate online, especially just from these random keyboard warriors who have nothing to do all day. But when you girls won, it sort of gave people another life and gave all of those guys that were hating on you. At the end of the game, they were the ones that were actually up on their seat, like cheering.
Which is really, like, to me, it was really sad because, like, no matter win or lose, like, I think it's really important that we always support our national teams. And it's just unfortunate, like, it took that long and for us to kind of win, for them to be like, oh, no, our girls can kind of play, like. Because I remember even running out, like, to warm up, we just had these looks like, oh, they're going to lose kind of thing. And, like, I was just like, no, we're not today. Like, we're going to win today kind of thing. But yeah, like, even to this day, we still cop it, like, as athletes. Doesn't matter what sport you're playing. Like, people are always going to say something, but it's just how you react to it. And, sometimes you just got to block those people out kind of thing. But, I think that one game did change a lot of people's mindset. Because I remember, like, I had a lot of messages saying, like, you girls did awesome. And, like, it was just overwhelming to see how much support that we were getting at the end of the day. But yeah, it's unfortunate that we had to win to get that support in the first place. But yeah, like you said, like now that it's changed a few people's mindset, which is a good thing. So hopefully it stays and gets better and better over the next couple of years. But yeah,
it's a big step in the right direction, because I mean, ultimately you look at it now, and that game, if there was a little girl sitting in the crowd and she dreamed about putting on the Orchids jumper, like when she's older, like you girls just gave her the confidence and the ability to go, look, I can play there on that field as well. So I think it was a great thing, and you girls should be really proud about that time.
Yeah, definitely.
But to finish off, you were in Moresby recently, and I did see. I actually read a news article, and you went back and played for one of the clubs there, one of the local clubs at a nines tournament.
Yeah.
How was that? Because in a sense, you're almost giving back now because you've represented your country in 3 different codes. You're going back playing in a local tournament, probably with some young girls as well, who they would have loved to hear from you and get some of your experience. So how was that?
Yeah, it was so much fun. Like, I love going home. I think my little cousin actually was the one who reached out to me.
Yeah.
So she plays touch football as well for PNG. We both played up in Malaysia in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because we didn't know we were family back then. We just happened to find out when we were going to Malaysia that we were family. Yeah. So since then we've been quite close through touch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, her and her partner reached out to me and said like, hey Gem, like I know like you might be busy around this time, but we're just looking for some jerseys, like if you can help us out, donate some or find a sponsor or anything like that kind of thing. And, family's family, like you're always going to say yes. So the first thing I did was like, yeah, look, I'll have a look around and ask around and stuff, and then get a quote for you, even if we get jerseys done up here, and then I can bring them over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that, and then I was really lucky that a mate from up in like North Queensland, Marvin Pace, who had a jersey set.
Wow.
From his club, and said when I reached out to him, he said, "Oh, look, I'll post them over to you." I think they were coming from Mackay.
Wow.
So it only took maybe less than 5 days for him to post it. So, he posted the shorts and the jerseys and said like, "Here,
that's awesome.
Like, these are for the girls and stuff. Let me know if you need anything."
Yeah.
Which I think the coolest thing about that is like when you know people, like networking kind of thing, like those kind of cool things happen. So I was really blessed that Marvin helped me out with that one, and then. My next job was obviously trying to post it up to PNG, which was, I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, do I have to fly over, or do I know anyone flying? So there was a few people that were flying, but unfortunately it was just a really big bag, and I was like, and I thought about it, and I was like, oh, and because my partner lives up in Palm as well, I was like, oh, this might be a good chance to go back and see him at the same time. I can get the jerseys on kind of thing. I went back, and then she... on the way there, like leading up to a couple of days leading up to it, she said, "Oh, hey, cuz, like, do you want to have a run, maybe?" And I was like, "Oh, local tournament." I remember the last time I played a local sevens tournament, I got hit really hard.
They're scary.
By a teammate of mine. Her name's Alice, actually. She got me really good, and I was after that tournament, I was like, I'm never playing in a local tournament again. Like. The local tournaments there are just like
they're
next
out to
level.
get you,
like, they're out to get you kind of thing.
I remember when I went back and played a local tournament, everyone, like I could just hear light skin. Kill him.
And that was kind of the feeling I had when I think it was rookie sevens I played actually, and we had to play it because it was being used as like a selection thing from like our coach. So that was after that tournament. I was like, I don't want to play another one. And then like league girls, like they're even tougher. So I was like, oh, I'll come and I'll suss it out. Like I'll see how I feel when I get there, because I think I was just coming off the back end of like our 15s preseason kind of thing. Like just starting into it. Sorry. So I was like, oh, like I don't want to play, and then I get injured because the World Cup for touch is coming up as well. In July. So. There's a lot of factors that I was kind of like, but then I think once I got there, she did say like, these are the girls in our team, and I saw a lot of them were new to rugby, and very young as well. A lot of them do play touch as well. So, the girls are really excited because I think they thought I was playing already, so they must have heard, oh, Gem's going to play in our team, and so couldn't say no now. I was like, right,
you're locked in.
All good, like I'll just have a run. But the tournament was fun. I think. The first training I had, I remember like I rocked up to, it was for the Sabah Raiders girls, so obviously right in the south side, they say Sub-City.
Sub-City, shout out Sub-City.
Which is a really cool place. All the touchies for PNG that represent PNG actually live around that area, so I saw them like every day at training, which is really cool. But when I rocked up to training, I remember I thought it was a field that we were going to, But yeah, my partner and my cousin drove me down, and it was just this gravel, no grass, nothing. It was just a big gravel oval.
Yeah.
And there was all these kids running around with no shoes, on stone. And I think I rocked up with my boots, thinking I was going to train in my boots, and the girls were like, "No, you got to put sand shoes on, Gem, or don't wear any shoes." And I was like, "What? That's crazy."
Far out.
But no, it was good. It was good to. I think the girls, they learnt a lot. We did basic training really. We went down to Ella Beach as well. Did some tackling sessions. The only thing the tournament kept delaying because it was actually rainy season while I was there.
Okay.
So the fields kept flooding and they had to manually obviously take the water out.
Yeah.
So I think they delayed it by 2 or 3 weeks. I was there for
shit.
almost a month. Yeah. Which is really, they kept
Extended
saying
holiday.
Saturday, we're going to play the final, and then they delayed another week. But yeah, no, it was during that 3-week period. We just, I'd take the girls down to the beach. We'd all get on the ute, I was driving them down to the beach, and there's 15 of them getting on the back of a car. It was so much fun. I had a lot of fun with the girls.
Yeah.
And the girls did as well. Some of the drills that I was running, it's stuff that we do here, and just games and things like that. They're not used to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I even did the jersey prezzo for them, and that it was the first time for a lot of them. So. Even that, they were like, "What is Jersey Prezzo?" But no, it was good fun. We actually ended up winning the final.
Yeah,
So we made the final, and the girls, we kept the other team scoreless. It was against Butter.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it paid off.
That's amazing. Yeah.
The girls played amazing, and it was so much fun.
Bit of prize money as well at the end.
Yeah, well, we were promised a certain amount and then didn't get that amount. So,
what?
So it kind of cut down a bit, but
Jeez.
no, the girls did get something out of it.
That's good. Then,
And it's pretty funny. They actually gave me the trophy to fly with back to Brisbane.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just so big that I was like, I don't think they're gonna. I was like, they're not gonna let me fly with this on the plane. I've already got a whole bunch of stuff that I had to carry coming home. But no, it was a really good time, and then hopefully next year that we can go again and obviously see more players kind of going back home to play. I know it's a local comp, but giving your knowledge back to the people back home and stuff, they really appreciate all that sort of stuff. And
definitely,
obviously gears, I gave them a set of cones, and to them it was gold. So it was so much fun. It was a really good experience. It's another kind of experience that I saw a different insight to as well.
Yeah.
Obviously the way we have club rugby over here compared to how they have their club season and the things that they go through and the training fields, just little things like that.
Yeah.
I was just really, when I came home, I was like, wow, I'm really blessed to be
grateful
here that, I can rock up to training with a pair of boots, or my coaches, we have a coaching team of 3, or even just having, 15 girls is enough at training for me, and just little things like that. It made me very grateful for what I have now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really fun thing, and hopefully I can go back next year and help another team out, because I love the little holiday that I just spent there.
Yeah. Oh.
No, it was great.
That's awesome. And before I let you go, I thought I'd ask you this question. If there was one thing you'd love, or let me position this right. So what sort of environment would you love to see a young PNG girl grow up in? What sort of opportunities would you want for the next generation to come through? I mean, obviously, like you said throughout this podcast, there were lots of challenges that you had to go through, whether that was, being accepted as a rugby player in PNG, trying to break that mold of it's a male game, and we only support the Kumals and all of this. So for the next generation that's coming through, what would you hope for them to achieve?
I think just even to this day, we're still breaking a lot of barriers down. And it's just basic rights and things like that. I know in my rugby career there was a lot of things that I had to speak up about. Which you don't see many athletes speaking about things like that, because we're scared to say some things, even though if we're right, it's going to bite us in the ass maybe later on. But I want like the next generation to just always stand up for what's right kind of thing. Because that's what my mum always taught me, and I've seen athletes like Lala. She's been someone like that. Even Melanie Kawa, like those women, they've always, like, being around them and just seeing and hearing their stories, like they've always stood up for what's right or spoken up about things that other people are scared to, like, you know, speak up about. To break, you know, certain barriers down. So I think it's really important that the next generation understand that as well, because that's, I think, like, in the future, if we don't break those barriers down, we're just going to be in the same cycle again and again and again. And obviously, like, I have little sisters and I never want them to go through what I have now. I want them to, you know, if she ever wants to represent PNG, I want her to come up in a system where she's not having to fight for her rights or things like little things. Like, I wish I could go into detail about it, but then we'd be sitting here all night. But yeah, like, that's one thing I hope the next generation kind of see and can do, because I think it's always good that you can speak up for what's right and like your morals and values and things like that. I think it's really important. But yeah, I think for me, that's what I always stand by. I stand for my morals, I stand for my values. And I'm not ever one to, like, if I know I'm right kind of thing. Like, but I do that because I want to be able to break those, like I said, break barriers down now, so then the next couple of kids that are coming through have it easier than what we did now. Because, yeah, it is quite tough now to this day. But, yeah, like I said, that's what I want to see the next bunch of kiddies doing. Really cool. Yeah.
Wow. That was very well put.
Yeah,
That was really, really good.
I think that question always gets asked to me quite a lot when I do these kind of things, and that's one thing that I always say is like as a PNG athlete, and I think in any like island country, a lot of athletes, there's a lot of things that we end up going through, and it's you know, people just give up sometimes. But I've always been to be like, no, we have to fight for this and fight for that, and because, you know, I want the next. Because, you know, we have kids that look up to us now, and in 10, 20 years, I want them to be able to not go through what we did, like I said. So, yeah, it was very well thought of, because I seem to always be saying it. So, it's one of the biggest things I always try and put out there. So, yeah.
No, well, that's amazing. And I think that's probably the biggest reason why the uncles brought you on. And, I mean, from the uncles, we just want to say thank you. And it just shows the passion that you have, not only for, like, your sports, but your country, Papua New Guinea, which is a big thing, and something that we want to showcase to anyone and everyone that's watching or listening. So a big thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure.
See you guys.
See ya.